Hi and welcome to my English channel. Are you learning English? That's awesome. Let's learn English together through some exciting stories. But first, tell me, which country are you watching from? I'd love to know how far this message has reached. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Alright, let's get started.
My name is Emma Turner. I am 29 years old, and I live in a small but beautiful house in the quiet town of Riverwood. Every morning, I wake up to the sound of birds outside my window. Our home is simple, warm, and full of light. There is a small garden in front, and I always feel calm when I look at it. I work at a small book cafe in town. I love my job. I enjoy the smell of coffee, the shelves full of books, and the friendly people who visit every day. My life felt peaceful and safe. My husband, Daniel, is 34. He works in engineering and often travels for work. Sometimes he is away for days, sometimes for a whole week. I miss him when he is gone, but I trust him. He always tells me he is working hard for our future. Each time Daniel comes home, he brings me a small gift, a bookmark, a keychain, or a tiny wooden figure. We sit together at the kitchen table, and he tells me stories from his trips. I always listen with a happy heart. I truly believed our life was perfect. I truly believed I knew everything about him. But I was wrong. Everything changed on one quiet night. It was a quiet Friday night. Rain was falling softly outside the window, making a gentle sound on the roof. I loved nights like this. They always made me feel calm and safe. Daniel and I had just finished dinner, and he looked very tired after another long business trip. When we finally went to bed, he fell asleep almost immediately. I could hear his slow, steady breathing beside me. I stayed awake for a little while, reading a book under the warm, yellow light of the lamp. After a few pages, my eyes felt heavy. I closed the book, turned off the lamp, and let the darkness settle around us. I thought the night would pass peacefully, just like many nights before. But I was wrong. Only a few seconds after I closed my eyes, Daniel's phone began to ring. It wasn't just one ring. It rang again and again, vibrating loudly on the bedside table. The screen lit up the whole room. I sighed and reached for it, thinking it might be something urgent from his office. Sometimes his boss called late at night about problems at work, especially when Daniel was traveling. But when I looked at the screen, I froze. The number was unknown, and under it were the words, "Urgent call." My heart began to beat faster. I didn't want to wake Daniel. He looked exhausted, and he rarely slept well when he came home from trips. So I hesitated for a moment, then slowly pressed the answer button. "Hello," I said softly. For a few seconds, there was silence. I thought maybe it was a mistake or a bad connection. I was about to hang up. Then I heard it. A woman's voice. Weak. Shaking. Full of tears. "Daniel, please, are you there?" she said, her voice breaking. "Mia is burning up. I can't wake her. We need to go now. Please, Daniel, please answer me. My blood turned cold. Mia. Who is Mia? Why is this woman calling Daniel? I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I'm sorry, I said quietly. This is his wife, Emma. Daniel is asleep. Who is this? There was a long pause. I could hear the woman breathing, trembling on the other end. When she spoke again, her voice was filled with confusion and fear. His wife, she whispered. Then her confusion turned into desperation. She began to cry harder. Please, she said, I don't know who you are, but I need my husband. My daughter needs her father. Mia won't wake up. The doctor said we must go to the hospital immediately. Please, just wake him up. Please. I felt the air leave my lungs. Her husband? Her daughter? Her child with Daniel? I stared at Daniel sleeping peacefully beside me, completely unaware of the storm that had just entered our home. In that moment, everything around me went silent. The only thing I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat and the woman's desperate words echoing in my mind. My daughter needs her father. Finally, I forced myself to turn toward Daniel. He was still sleeping peacefully, unaware of everything. I touched his shoulder gently. Daniel, I whispered, wake up. Please wake up. He opened his eyes slowly, confused and sleepy. Emma, what's wrong? He mumbled. I swallowed hard. My voice was shaking. Your phone rang, I said. I answered it. At first, he didn't react. But when he saw my face, my pale skin, my trembling hands, he sat up quickly. Who was it? He asked. It was a woman, I said softly. She said her daughter is sick. She said her daughter needs her father. She called you her husband. Daniel. His face changed instantly. All the color disappeared. His eyes widened. His lips parted, but no words came out. I had never seen him look so terrified. Emma, he whispered. I felt tears filling my eyes, but I didn't blink. I needed answers. Who is she? I demanded. Who is Mia? And why does she think you're her husband? For a few seconds, Daniel didn't speak. His hands began to shake. He looked like someone standing on the edge of a cliff. Then he finally said it. Her name is Sophie, he whispered. She's my ex-girlfriend. My heart dropped. He continued, voice weak and full of guilt. We were together years ago. Before I met you, we broke up. I moved to this city for work. But a few months later, she called me. She told me she was pregnant. I felt my breath stop. Pregnant. She had the baby, he said. A little girl. Her name is Mia. A baby, I repeated, my voice cracking. You have a child? He closed his eyes. Yes. The world around me started spinning. Every memory we ever shared suddenly felt different. Like I was looking at a picture that had been ripped in half. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. Why, Daniel? I didn't want to hurt you, he said. I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid you would leave me. So you lied, I said, my voice growing sharp. You lied every day? He covered his face with his hands. Emma, I'm sorry. I never wanted this to happen. I tried to handle everything. I thought I could protect you. Protect me? I almost laughed. You built our whole marriage on a lie. He looked up, his eyes wet. I didn't want to lose you. I love you, Emma. But his words felt empty. Suddenly, everything made sense. The long trips, the late-night calls, the worry in his eyes. His business travel wasn't business at all. He had been visiting them. Sophie and the little girl, his daughter. The truth crashed into me like a wave. I felt myself falling into a deep, dark place inside my heart. Everything I believed in, every warm memory, every moment of trust, broke apart in my hands. It was the moment I realized the man I shared my life with was not the man I thought I knew. He told me he didn't know what to do. He told me he was scared to lose me. He told me he wanted both lives, his marriage with me and his daughter Mia. Every word he said felt like a knife in my chest. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I felt too broken to do anything. But I knew one thing. Mia was sick. A child was in danger. So I looked at Daniel and said very quietly, "Go. She needs you." He tried to touch my hand, but I moved away. He packed a few things and left the house. I watched him walk out the door, and it felt like watching a stranger leave. Not my husband. After he left, the house became painfully silent. I sat on the floor, hugged my knees, and finally let myself cry. The kind of cry you feel in your bones. The kind of cry that empties you completely. The days after that were the darkest days of my life. I couldn't eat. Food tasted like nothing. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel holding a child I never knew about. At work, I made mistakes. My boss asked if I was okay. I said yes, but I wasn't. Money became a problem too. Our house was under Daniel's name. Everything, the contract, the bank papers, all belonged to him. And now he wasn't coming home. I had to leave. I moved into a small, old room on the third floor of a worn-out building. The paint on the walls was cracked. The window looked over a parking lot. At night, cars came and went, engines loud, lights flashing through the thin curtains. Sometimes people argued downstairs. Sometimes I heard loud music. I wasn't used to this place. It didn't feel like home, but it was all I could afford. Still, I tried. Every morning, I forced myself to get up, wash my face, and breathe. Every evening, I told myself, one more day. Just survive one more day. I was broken, but I was still alive. And deep inside, a small part of me whispered, "This is not the end. You will stand again." After weeks of searching, filling out forms, and going to interviews, I finally got a new job at the town's medical center. The pay wasn't high, but it was enough for me to survive. The place was busy every day, full of patients, nurses, and doctors running from room to room. At first, the workload felt heavy. I was tired all the time. But slowly, something surprising happened. The busier I became, the less time I had to sit alone with my pain. My heart was still wounded, but the constant activity kept it from bleeding too much. I learned new skills. I met new people. And day by day, I started to feel useful again. I wasn't the same Emma, but maybe that wasn't a bad thing. 6 months passed. The seasons changed. The air grew colder, and the mornings were filled with soft white fog. One afternoon, when I returned home from work, I found a letter in my mailbox. It was from Daniel's lawyer. My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. Inside was the divorce paper. For a long moment, I just stared at it. My chest felt tight, not because I wanted Daniel back. That chapter was already closed, but because this paper was the final door shutting behind me. The end of a life I once believed would last forever. I sat at my small desk by the window. The pen felt cold between my fingers. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and slowly signed my name. When the pen left the paper, something inside me loosened. Peace. A quiet, gentle kind of peace. It surprised me. I expected pain. I expected tears. But all I felt was calm. A strange yet comforting calm. That evening, the town was colder than usual. I took the bus home, as I always did. When I stepped off and started walking, the wind brushed against my face. I pulled my scarf tighter and kept moving. Then, halfway down the street, I saw him. Daniel. He was standing on the opposite side of the road. His posture was tense, as if he wasn't sure what to do. And beside him was a little girl with soft, curly brown hair. She was holding his hand and looking up at him with innocent eyes. My heart stopped for 1 second, because those eyes, those bright blue eyes, were Daniel's eyes. It was Mia, his daughter, the child that changed everything. Daniel looked at me. He didn't move, didn't speak. We just stared at each other across the road, with cars passing between us like waves in the ocean. His face looked older, tired, full of things he could never say aloud. Regret, guilt, maybe even gratitude. I wasn't sure. But what surprised me most was this. I didn't feel anger anymore. Instead, I felt softness, a gentle sadness, but also acceptance. Life had taken him one way and taken me another, and maybe that was exactly how it was supposed to be. The little girl tugged his hand and looked at me curiously. I smiled at her, a warm, honest smile. She smiled back shyly. Then Daniel opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but the words never came. Maybe there were no words left. Maybe everything had already been said. I placed a hand on my heart and gave him a small nod, a goodbye, a thank you, and a we're okay now, all in one gesture. Then I turned away. As I walked home, the cold wind didn't hurt my skin anymore. My steps felt steady. My breath felt light. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. I didn't know what my future would look like. I didn't know what challenges were waiting for me. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had changed. I had survived. And now, I was reborn. I was stronger. And I was finally beautifully free.
Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it and learned something new, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Maybe they need a little reminder to be brave and kind too. And if you love stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Every week, we share new English stories that are simple, beautiful, and full of life lessons. Stories that help you learn English naturally while touching your heart. Remember, learning English doesn't have to be hard. It can be peaceful, meaningful, and fun, one story at a time. So, see you in the next video, and until then, keep learning, keep smiling, and keep being kind.